In this video, join me in cooking an Italian classic, lasagna. Okay, for this recipe you're going to want ground beef. I usually use 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds to make a good lasagna. I have that over here, as you can see. I browned it already and put the sauce in. I used Prego. Like I said before, I use the big containers of Prego. I usually use something along the lines of the garden Prego or the hearty garden with mushroom, something along those lines for my sauce because I like mushrooms, I like the peppers and the onions in it, so I use something like that. The next ingredient that I use is mozzarella cheese. I've been liking mozzarella provolone lately in a lot of the more Italian type dishes that I make or anything that requires mozzarella. I noticed that provolone adds a really good flavor to it, so I've been using that. You're going to want to use cottage cheese. Now I know some people use, I think it's ricotta cheese, but I grew up with my mom always using cottage cheese and it was always really good in the lasagna, so that's what I use. And then for my kids, I use a gluten-free pasta. These are tincagnata lasagna. I find that they cook up the best out of all the gluten-free pasta that I've used, so I like using this brand in particular. I can't really find it so much in stores anymore, so I think I have to order it online at this point. But since this is a birthday dinner for my youngest son, I figured I'd bust out the good stuff instead of some of the other gluten-free lasagna brands that I have. Okay, so since I already have the ground beef browned and drained and the sauce in it, which I might not have said that last time, I always drain the beef to get the grease out of it before I put the sauce in. Otherwise it'll make a greasier texture with the ground beef. Next thing I do is I fill the pot with water. So I'll bring that over here so you can see. I have this pot filled probably to within about 1 inch of the top with water, and I'm going to bring that to a boil. In the meantime, while that is waiting to boil, I'm going to turn the oven on. I put it at 350 degrees, and so that's going to preheat while I'm waiting for the water to boil, and then I'll put the pasta in after that, and you'll see the rest of the steps as we go. Okay, so now that the water is boiling, it's time to put the lasagna in. So I'll put in 9 strips of the lasagna to make up the 3 pieces each for each layer. Now I'm going to wait for these to start cooking and get softer, and then as they do, I'm going to push them down a little bit further in as they become limp so they don't break, but so that the whole piece cooks. And I'll do that with this, just a traditional type scoop spoon that you use for spaghetti. I find it very effective to use with the lasagna as well. Okay, as you can see at this point, the lasagna has already sunk down into the pot, so it's all starting to cook. And I've pushed it the rest of the way down. Now I'm just sort of stirring it to make sure that the pieces cook but don't stick together. That's actually one of the reasons also why I put the lasagna pasta in overlapping each other, so no 2 pieces were laying exactly on top of each other completely so that they won't stick together. So I'll let this cook for a little bit, and then once I notice it's starting to get softer, I'll go ahead, turn it off, drain it, and rinse it, and then we'll start layering the lasagna. Okay, at this point the lasagna is starting to get tender enough that I'm going to turn the water off soon and drain and rinse it to get ready to layer it in the lasagna. As you can see, it's getting soft. It's not quite as soft as I'd like it to be, but it's getting very close to it, and because it's gluten-free pasta, I noticed that you need to actually cook that, so it's a little less firm, not so al dente, because it gets harder faster than your average regular gluten-based pasta. Okay, at this point I think the pasta is getting sufficiently soft to be able to go ahead and drain it, because I don't want it to be too limp. Okay, so the first thing I do when making lasagna is I put a layer of the meat sauce down. My mom taught me how to do that way, and her lasagnas always tasted fantastic, and so that's what I've always done with all my lasagnas since then. Okay, now the next layer is going to be the actual lasagna pasta to make that first real layer of the lasagna. Now after this layer, I always do the cottage cheese layer. So it goes pasta, meat, cottage cheese, mozzarella cheese, and then on and on from there. And now it's time for the layer of cheese. Two layers down, and now time for the last layer of the lasagna. My family likes the lasagna really meaty and really cheesy, so I'm packing in every last bit of the meat that's left in the pan onto that top layer, and then I'm going to put the cottage cheese on and a really good helping of mozzarella cheese to top it off. And now, time for Parmesan cheese and then the oven. Now time for the lasagna to go into the oven for around 30 minutes or so. Okay, so the timer just went off. It's time to get the lasagna out. Wow, that looks so good. So this is the final product. The lasagna turned out great. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos.